Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pawan Luthra podcast. My guest today is Jay Sharma, who's currently bringing to light his first major feature film, an Australian-Indian production titled Hindi Vindi, which hits the screens on 27 February. The last time he was in the news so majorly, he had been in the 40 under 40 most influential Asian Australians in 2022. When he's not making films or being in top achievers list, Jay is a corporate executive and partner at Ernst & Young, based in the Sydney offices. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Pawan. Great to be here.
Now, this is an interesting film about language as a connector in migrant communities. How did the idea come about?
Most of the ideas that we have for our films come from our real life experiences. And our film, 24/6 Films, it basically stands to bring social issues to play.
Tell me a couple of things of your 24/6 film, just to put this in perspective.
Yeah, I should start with that actually. So 24/6 Films was brought out as a dream to bridge the Australian film industry and the Indian film industry. So if you just break apart 24/6 Films into 24, which is the number of spokes in our great Ashoka Chakra.
All right.
And 6 stars in the Australian ensemble, and you put
Creative.
them together. So that's
Well done.
24/6 Films, right? And we are still designing the logo for that. It should be creative. But the name is definitely creative. So that's the essence of it. So bringing migrant stories of people all across the world, definitely Indians, to the fore is important. That's where the Hindi Vindi construct comes from. When our parents sort of visit from India, where they stay in India, and our kids who are basically Aussie born, real Aussies, they've got the accent, they understand a little bit of Hindi, and they have a little bit of assimilated culture through our festivals and our clothing and our way of eating and dining. We found that there was a real disconnect between the way they were communicating with the grandparents. And it was quite funny to see that. I think all of us laugh at that, but at some rooted level, it's actually an issue as well, where they're missing out.
Real life stories. You got a couple of young children.
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got now a 12-year-old Gauri. It's a very filmy name. She's just started high school, which is great. Becoming a teenager, and I've got a 7-year-old Kabir. And surprise, the protagonist in this film is Kabir. So it's his story,
Right.
his connection with his grandmother. So that's how the entire genesis of this came through. So director Ali Syed and the producer Aniket Deshkar, 3 of us came up with this construct.
I believe you have a very famous Australian involved in your movie.
Yes, absolutely. We've got the incredible Guy Sebastian making his film debut
Right.
in this film. Guy's story himself is fascinating, right? His family has Indian roots. His mum is Malay Indian, and when for the first time we were talking to Guy and we were narrating the story, he actually FaceTimed his mum, and I could see the pride in her face that my boy is finally doing something Indian. so I think he was bought into the story up front, and once he was bought in, I think his creative genius just unleashed through the film. So he's acting. He's done singles in the film. We have done a musical collaboration between him and a very famous Indian musician called Javed Mohsin. Yeah, so I think it worked like clockwork. It was meant to be, I think, with Guy coming in into this.
Fantastic. And you also zeroed in on Neena Gupta, who's an Indian actress with a lot of critical acclaim.
Yeah, like Neena ji is a thorough professional. The story was written around her. When we wrote the story, her face used to sort of come into our mind. And for the first time, she said yes, exactly around 2 years back. And I think that's when we thought we have to do this now. And I think just her energy on set and her creative genius, having done 150 films or so, I think just came through. And then we also have Mihir Ahuja in the film from the Archie's fame. So we sort of brought the young into this as well, because eventually it's Kabir's story.
Right.
And Mihir is one of those actors, and he's playing an Aussie character. He's playing a musician. So he went for a 6-month, let's say, crash course on the Aussie accent, Aussie ways of working.
Right.
He did a pretty good job. Guy did a pretty good job in toning his accent down a little bit and playing an Indian dad.
In terms of the actual process of making a movie in Australia, how hard or easy is it?
Look, Australia is not a film-first country, right? We are not Hollywood, we are not Bollywood, we are not Tollywood. But I think there's a huge focus from the government Department of Arts, Screen Australia, Screen Victoria, also New South Wales, on funding projects that come to Australia and showcase the Australian stories in the real to the real merit that it needs to be told. So there's a lot of funding as well as support that is provided by the government. So when Narendra Modi ji came to Australia, he announced this Australian co-production treaty. And that's when sort of my light bulb grew as a businessman to say, hey, looks like here's an opportunity to bring the 24/6 vision to life. And that's what we did. So we went to Screen Australia. They supported us in a big way, the development of the script. And we basically went to Mumbai and got a production house from there. And we started this project. Now, your question around setting up the infrastructure for actually making a film, that was pretty tough because we were first timers, and there's no real, either there's the big wigs and the big production houses who are making the big TV series and supporting Marvel films in Gold Coast and all, and they're all oversubscribed because a lot of people want to shoot in this beautiful country. Or there's grassroots level, a lot of low budget Punjabi films, Gujarati films, Asian films being produced. Our film lies right in the center of that. And I think to create talent who can deliver the quality of the film that we want to deliver in Bollywood, it's not easy. So I think we got lucky. We got a lot of support from a lot of very influential people to make that happen.
How do you balance your varied interests? As I mentioned, you're a corporate guru, and now you're a filmmaker. You have a young family, as you mentioned, a 12, 13-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Obviously a busy family life. How do you juggle all these balls and keep them up in the air?
I don't. The balls are all over the place. Like that's what's happening. But I think the thing that, so first of all, passion is everything, right? So if you're passionate about something, you're going to find ways and means to do it. But I think family support is everything. So the film was actually exec produced by my wife and myself, Drisha and I. So it is while it might be the brainchild from Alimi and Aniket to bring it to life, actually she's got a big role in this. The executive production firm for Hindi Vindi is actually Drisha Sharma Productions. When you see the film, you'll see that in a big way. So all the way from helping with the casting and making sure that when the actors arrive, they look good on screen and making sure that they are taken care of, all the way to helping out with the distribution of the film, to marketing of the film and all that. So you need to bind to your wife and your partner, right? If you don't have the bind from your partner, you can never do anything. So I think that's the secret sauce in my mind to get it done. The other thing is my daughter Gauri, she actually acted in the film.
All right.
So, yeah. So right. One of the big reasons for me to genuinely venture into this is because personally as a dad, I don't want them to land into the corporate world. I don't know if I'll succeed or not, but I think leaving a legacy is important. Because I think as human beings, we are more creative than trying to sell goods and services to each other and then making money out of that. I think I can see that. I have always been a writer all my life. I published my first book when I was 9 years old, my poetry book. I should have done that, right? I didn't do it. I've been writing. I've written so many scripts. I come from a family of writers. Why wasn't I not doing that? And we were not doing that because, we were a typical, like everybody, is a middle-class Indian family, aspiring to become, better living conditions and doing better in life in general. Like, I get it. Now that we have a good life, now what's the hurry? Why do we need to sort of do that? So now let's take a step back and let's give a platform to our kids where they can decide on whether they want to do stuff like this. And so I need to leave a legacy, set an example. So I think that was a big reason for me.
Sure. So that's for the children. What about yourself? Do you see yourself all in?
I love both my careers. I cannot leave being at EY. I am very passionate about that career. That's what I've been doing all my life. I don't think I can leave that. I love the work I do. I work in AI and the amount of revolution that's happening in AI. Nobody can refute that. So I'm very excited to go to work every day and talk to my clients every day and work on projects that will eventually change human life and the way humans react with each other. On the flip side, if I didn't have the creative side, I can't do that because that's a very stressful job. And like you said, there's family and all. So you need to have a place of passion as well. You've created a business, and if you are not passionate,
can't your passion become your business? Meaning, I know you like your corporate life, but if you're all in the creative side of things, do you think you can reach higher heights?
Higher on both. Like I always quote this guy, Florentino Perez. He's the manager of Real Madrid, the soccer team. He also owns the largest utility company in Spain. Like he's my idol. So you got to be able to both impact human life through the work you're doing on your corporate. If you're good at it and you really like it, and you should be able to fulfill your aspirations. You got to balance it both and not do it. Eventually, it's a team that prevails, right? The reason I'm successful at work is because my team is fantastic. The reason Hindi Vindi is a great film is because the team is fantastic, not because I was involved with the film. So I think that's my philosophy, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the balls that are juggling around just fall one day. But for now, it's working all right.
You mentioned that artificial intelligence is the area in which you work professionally. How do you see artificial intelligence changing movie making?
Very smart question. I'm sure you came up with this right now, knowing you. But yeah, that's a great question. And in fact, somebody asked me that question yesterday. around what do you think?
Too many smart people in the world, aren't
too many
there?
smart people. And so I answered it two ways, but I was thinking about that question as well. I don't think AI is going to replace movie making. It's just not going to happen. Right? The art of storytelling, comes from a place of an emotional experience you personally might have had, and to be able to express that emotional experience to the audience is an art, and people are probably born into that. And I call them the secret directors and the writers who come up with the vision, and the screenwriters, obviously. There are parts of filmmaking that will be hugely impacted by AI. If you see our film as well, our film has got a large amount of music in it. And with a film with music, there's concerts and there's crowd and all that. So we've used a tremendous amount of VFX. And we got an Indian post-production company called FutureWorks to do it for us. I think all that is going to be automated eventually. Like our ability to use generative AI to be able to generate crowds in a film is going to become cheaper and higher. Even if you see the advent of technology over the years, doing a VFX back in the day in films, and we've always seen VFX in Indian films, used to be an arduous process of months and years, and an expensive process because you need to put large green screens and all that. We have moved from that era to having a studio in Melbourne where you can shoot the entire film like a Mandalorian in a studio. So we have moved from that era to this era. So it's not, the creativity is not gone, but the way you make the film has become more efficient. It looks better, it's faster, and you are able to tell stories that you wouldn't have been able to tell before.
The script writing is still going to come from the human being, not from the AI.
Exactly. People still like some drama and some real life stories, I would think.
True. It seems as though every Indian has a dream about making a film, if not acting in one, or being in some cinema-related endeavor. What causes this?
We are all born dreamers in India, aren't we? Like the first thing, we have all experienced the big Javed Akhtar stories and Javed Salim stories and Amitabh Bachchan stories and the Shah Rukh Khan romance and the Salman Khan films and all that. I think as we grow in India and with the competition we have and the difficulty of just leading the day-to-day life, the only respite you have is either sport or cinema. So it's the cricket and a film world, and I think somewhere there's a deep-rooted view of, hey, if this actor can do this, I can as well. So I think it's if I put my finger on it, I think it's probably Amitabh Bachchan's authenticity of playing roles where he connects with the real Vijay of outside and you wanting to be that person at some level. And I think that's where it comes from. So eventually, I'd love to be, playing the guitar in Rock On, or playing the piano with Lady Gaga one day or something like that, right? I think it comes from that because these are such authentic experiences we have had growing up. I think people want to do it. I think it's a very flashy industry as well. Like I think from outside it looks like being there and hanging out with the people is going to be change your reality a little bit as well. And there's some level of dilemma there as well, I think.
Excellent. Before I let you go, can you give us a heads up on the next script which is boiling around in your head?
Definitely. Our next film, which is tentatively titled Fiji to Fiji, I don't think that will be the title of the film, is our dream project. We wanted to make that film first, but the budget of the film was so high that we couldn't sort of fathom getting that as a first one. It's a complex film. It's a film about time travel. It was written, we wrote the script in 2013, so it's more than 10 years. It's a decade-old script, and over the years we have been making it better and better to make it more believable. We want to simplify the script a little bit for not general audience to actually consume it. It's very much in the zone of films like Interstellar and Arrival, those kind of films. And it's a pure Australian project. It's a 2-actor project. So we'll have one actor from Australia / Hollywood, one actor from India / Bollywood. It's going to have music like all our films will have. It'll be a piano-based film. I think that's all I can tell you.
May all your dreams come true and keep dreaming.
Thank you, Pawan.
Thank
Great
you.
pleasure. Thank you.